everyone, my name is Bethany and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up, which I should have filmed, honestly, a few weeks earlier than this, but here we are. It's July, but I'm filming my June wrap-up now, because life, no judgments. I ended up reading some good books this month, and I really enjoyed my reading, but there was also some misses, so let's go into talking about what I've read this month. I read 17 books, which is pretty good, pretty impressive. I think that was definitely me coming out of my reading slump that I've kind of felt the last couple months. To start off with, the first book I ended up reading was an audio. It was The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai. I rated it 4 stars. This was about Daisy and Liam, which was a fake engagement, a child friends to lovers, interracial romance. This is an Indian American heroine and a white hero. Liam has to be able to inherit grandfather's business, which is a brewery. He has to be married, and so he reconnects with his childhood friend who he was best friends with her brother, and when they were growing up, but then they lost contact. He ended up kind of completely disconnecting from her family and standing her up on prom night because he was supposed to be her prom date. And so they recently reconnect. She hates him because he stood her up on prom date, but he has to marry somebody, so he hatches a plan of like, hey, I know that like we're not great terms, but like, can we fake engage? And from there things ensue. It was a little ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the situations and things that came up were a little bit silly almost at times, and almost like read like a rom-com-y type of movie vibe, but it was still kind of cute and funny, and I still really enjoyed it. And I thought the family dynamics was really great, like with her Indian family, and also how he felt like he since he screwed up, he couldn't be part of her family anymore, and what that meant to him, and family dynamics for his family, and what his relationship with his brother was very strained, and what that has done to his relationship. So it was really interesting, and I liked the family dynamics aspect of it. I thought the audiobook was also done really, really well and made it so much more enjoyable. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I hadn't read the audiobook. I just felt like the conflict was really weak. A huge part of the plot is how angry she is about him standing her up for prom. And I mean, and she's like in her 30s, can we just like not have high school trauma be a thing anymore in adult romances? I just can't. Like, I know high school is traumatic for everyone, but I don't know, like she's like angry about it, and it's like, can you not? And then he explains what happens, and she like immediately forgives him, and it's like, well, then were you really even that angry? I don't know. I'm so done with that trope. I feel like it comes up in romances so often, which is fine. I know those things have long-term effects. I don't know. Can you move on? I don't. Can we just move on and not have that as a plot device in a romance? Okay, thanks. It can come up as like part of the storyline, but I just don't like the trauma aspect of it and the being angry about it still. I don't know. I feel like I've just read that a lot lately and I'm just kind of over it. So maybe that's just me. Anyway, next this was something that was left over from reading for Love in the Night readathon, which is a paranormal romance readathon that I just didn't finish. So I decided to just go ahead and finish. It was Fantasy Lover by Sherilyn Keenan. Also, I think she's now going by Sherilyn McQueen, her maiden name now. And this was about Julian of Macedon and Grace. I rated it 3 stars. So we have a sex slave, and he is stuck in a book and is a sex slave when a spell casts him out of the book, basically there to cater to every woman's needs sexually. And it was really steamy and really fun. And it's so 2002 that it's kind of cringeworthy. The pacing is a little bit of a mess. Like, he's supposed to be there for a month, and literally the book like has 3 days, and then all of a sudden within a chapter it's like 3 weeks later, and it was very confusing, and I was like, wait, what? The movement through time was just kind of all over the place. Oh man, this ending, because I was actually thinking, you know what, this might be 3.5 stars, maybe even 4, and then the ending the ending is so banana pants, I can't even tell you. I was highly entertained though, and I thought it was still fun and cute and steamy, but yes, it was so ridiculous and over the top. I think I'm going to finish the books that I have of hers, because I still have a few out of this Dark Hunter series, which is from what this book is from. I have a few still on my shelf that I just happened to buy used, and I think I'm going to finish the series, and then I think I'm going to be done with Sherilyn Keenan. I think, like, our styles are very different. I don't think I'm ever going to love her, but they're entertaining and they're a lot of fun, so there's that. But I think I'm going to finish the books on my shelves and be done. That's my plan for the rest of the series. Next, I had listened to an audiobook, which I was super hyped for, which was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. For those who don't know, she also wrote Beach Read, so I was really, really excited about reading this one. And I rated it 4.5 stars. This is about Poppy and Alex, who are friends to lovers. They are college best friends, and they're also somewhat of a sunshine and grump trope as well. This tells the story of their friendship in flashbacks. And in the present day, they are struggling in reconnecting their friendship. She arranges them, so they always take trips together. They've taken trips together for many, many years, and now they have become estranged for the last 2 years. And this is their attempt, or at least her attempt, Poppy's attempt, to try to reconnect and plan another trip for them to go on. And then the story of their friendship, you get into these flashbacks of the trips they've gone on together. And you also find out what caused them to distance themselves from each other. A lot of people were really disappointed by what the incident was, because it builds up to an incident. But I knew what the incident was. This incident was not, so some people were disappointed by it, but I knew what the incident was. The incident was no surprise to me. It's the same incidents that happens always in Friends to Lovers when they find themselves distant from each other all the time. It's the same thing. It happens all the time in these types of books. So I wasn't surprised by it. So I wasn't surprised by it, so it wasn't disappointing to me, but I know that's something that other people found disappointing. Overall, though, I loved the flashbacks. I loved Emily Henry does such a beautiful job in her character development, just so well and so beautifully. And the banter was just, I was laughing. The audiobook is excellent, by the way, and I was laughing so much in this book. There's so many funny, hilarious moments, and it was so great. And also, it's a little bit of slow burn. So I really, really loved it. I think the audio was great. I think there's parts of the plot that could have just been developed a little bit better, like the incident, which was, again, I wasn't disappointed, but it is cliche. Could have been a little bit better. A little bit of the ending could have been fleshed out a little bit more. I still loved it, though, and I still really, really enjoyed it and thought it was really excellent. So, yes, if you were a fan of Beach Read, this one's a little bit lighter, because it doesn't necessarily have some of the darker themes that Beach Read did. I found it a little bit lighter. So if you didn't like Beach Read because it was a little bit darker, then you might like this one. And if you like Beach Read because it was a little bit darker, you might not like this one. So just go into knowing that. But it was really, really enjoyable. And also I was really excited, she goes to the same zoo that I went to when I visited Palm Springs, and they didn't feed the giraffes, but I did. So I was like, I know that place. I rarely ever go to somewhere that a book has been, so it was really exciting for me. It was a great moment. Next, I read an audiobook. This was Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. So this was one of my disappointing reads. This was a 3-star. So we have Ruthie and Teddy, which is the good girl, bad boy type of trope. I had a really hard problem. I will say the audiobook, I had a hard problem with the narrator, which might have colored my read, I'm not going to lie, because she made Teddy sound like a frat boy. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Ruthie is a reverend's daughter who is obsessed with a show that's kind of similar to Seventh Heaven, even the twist, which I found kind of funny, and also was like, if you're a reverend's daughter, I don't think you like Seventh Heaven. Teddy is a tattoo artist who's like a good for nothing, comes from a wealthy family, and the wealthy family thinks he's worthless. Ruthie works at she works at a retirement community, and the retirement community housing community is got bought out by a company whose Teddy's dad owns. And Teddy's dad basically brings Teddy over and is like, hey, you just work here and do something with your life. And he's trying to save up money to buy in for his tattoo business with his business partner. This was not it. It's not that I didn't like the book. There was some cute moments, but overall, I felt the characters were not really well developed to me. They kind of felt a little flat, Ruthie especially, and Teddy just wasn't as charming as he sounded like he should be, and the chemistry and tension between the two of them was just kind of meh. I don't know, it just wasn't really, I didn't really feel it. There were some really cute, funny side characters. There was a whole plot where Teddy starts working for these two elderly women, and for whatever reason, Ruthie is just like, they're sisters, they're sisters, they're sisters. No, honey, they're a gay couple. And and the fact that, like, she didn't get that for the longest time, and it's kept as a surprise, like it's a twist at the ending. It wasn't a twist, let me tell you. Within like the first 5 minutes, I was like, I think this is an elderly gay couple. Like, it was very, very obvious. And I thought it was her way of, like, trying to, like, write diversely, but then, like, why would you do it in such an obnoxious way by making these characters seem like sisters for literally 90% of the book? Anyway, sorry, I'm going on a rant now. But I liked the side characters. I thought they were really funny. I almost rated it a 2, but the writing just wasn't that bad. I still liked the writing. I still liked some of the cute moments, some of the funny moments were still there, but I just didn't really feel the romance between the two of them. So when they finally got together, I kind of was like, I just didn't believe it. I didn't buy it. They told each other so often to stay away while they continuously still flirted with each other. So I was kind of like, I don't buy it. I don't buy into you. I don't think that you guys are going to work out. I wanted to love it and just was not it for me. Big sad. Next, I ended up reading a physical book. It was Sweat and Soap, Volume 6 by Kentitsu Yamada. And this is about my favorites, Kotaro Notori and Asako, and I love them, and this is volume 6, and it was delightful, and it was everything I love, and I love them so much. This particular volume is about them moving in together, and it has one of their biggest conflicts that they've had to deal with, but how they resolve everything is just, I love them, they just have such a beautiful relationship, and seeing it grow and blossom is just, I love it so, so much. Next, I ended up listening to an audiobook. It was The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro, and this was, I read for book club, and this I rated 3 stars. So this was about January, and it starts really slow. It ended up having, the pacing was a little bit off for me. I would say this is very similar to Starless Sea. There's a story about doors. There's a story about magical doors and magical lands and parallel universes, and you know, it started very similar to Starless Sea for me, only way less confusing. Starless Sea was, like, all over the place. This was not as all over the place. There's a story within a story, but it wasn't, like, confusing. I still really enjoyed it. I was really liking the build-up and the beginning, and then the pacing at the end, the second half turned into a hot mess. I don't really know what happened. But the pacing just kind of went all over the place, and the villain that was revealed just wasn't a huge surprise. It just kind of was like, ugh, okay, this again. A non-surprising villain reveal is just not my thing. The romance, January has a little bit of a romance, was really woefully underdeveloped, maybe because Samuel's character was really flat. It just ended up being okay. It wasn't great. It got a lot of awards. I can see why. The writing was really beautiful. I think there were some really interesting themes introduced. But at one hand, some of the themes introduced was overhanded and not handled really well. And then some ideas that were introduced were not handled enough. And it just kind of made it seem a little bit all over the place. And yeah, it just wasn't great for me. I still really enjoyed it. And the ending was disappointing to me overall. So yeah, it was okay. That's kind of how I feel about it. I talked about it in book club quite extensively about how I felt. And then next, I'm going to be talking about some of the reads that I ended up doing for Hawathon. So Hawathon was a readathon that went on Twitter and also on Instagram, and I will link Hawathon information down below. It was a delight. It was so much fun. I saw it being promoted, and I was like, okay, this is like Smudathon. And Smudathon is my favorite readathon of all time, and Hawathon was just very similar and had some very similar vibes, and they really, really embraced their sexy, smutty, steamy theme really, really well, and I was like, I have to join this readathon. It has to happen. So I low-key did Hawathon. I didn't even come out with a TBR. It wasn't until I was like midway through, because I didn't know how much I was going to read of Hawathon, that I finally was like, yes, I've been doing this whole time. Here we have Hawathon. I ended up reading an ebook, which was 15 Inches by Madison Faye. Madison Faye is kind of a really popular, steamy, erotic romance writer who was banned from Amazon, actually, for underage reasons. This was, in particular story, it's basically how it sounds, 15 inches. You got Alexis and Liam having steamy times. Liam is her fitness instructor. She sees him and his 15-inch. And she's intrigued, and steamy times happen, and that was it. It was just very a smutty, short, steamy time, and just like it sounds. And it was fun. It was my first Madison fave. I hadn't read her before, and I know a lot of people on Romance BookTube talk about her, so it definitely is like more erotic, more on the side of erotica, just straight up smut, but it was fun. It was entertaining. I rated it 3 stars, so it wasn't anything like great, but it was entertaining, and I'm glad that I experienced a Madison Faye. That was entertaining. Next, I ended up reading an ebook. This was ebook was Ice Planet Holiday by Ruby Dixon. So this was on Kindle Unlimited. This is one of the few. Ice Planet Holiday is number 5 in the Ice Planet Barbarian series, and it's not available in audio, so that's why I ended up getting it on Kindle Unlimited instead. And it's shorter. It's like it's no more of a novella instead of some of the shorter novels. It was like 100 and something pages. Usually most of her novel length stuff is more 200 something pages. So there's 2 stories kind of happening at the same time. There's about Claire and Araven, their residents and their coming together, which was really cute. I didn't really remember their dynamic at all. And then you have Georgie having her first kid. So it kind of talks about those 2 things while they're all have planned this holiday, which is all the holidays combined. So you have the holidays being like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, all in one, and they all kind of combined as a way to kind of celebrate and have like a day that wasn't something monotonous, because they don't have holidays on this ice planet that they live on. So it was something for the humans to add to it, which I thought was kind of a cute concept. I will say it's trigger warning for pregnancy and for childbirth. It is very vivid, I think, a lot for Georgie's birth, and she does have somewhat of a difficult pregnancy or a difficult birth, so just be aware of that. It was cute. It was just okay for me. I rated 3.5 stars. Next, I ended up reading the ebook that was Getting Schooled by Christina C. Jones. This is a Black author, and this is also Kindle Unlimited. I rated this one 4 stars. This is about Reese and Jason, so we have a Black love romance, and this is Reese is a TA, and Jason is a student. He is a disabled vet. He actually is an amputee. He wears a prosthetic, and he only has 1 full leg, and he cuts off the knee for his second leg. So I thought that was really interesting to read about. And I love how it wasn't handled as like he's disabled and it's an issue, but like it was actually just kind of, he's just disabled. He just happens to be, and it wasn't a big issue, and it wasn't a big thing, and it wasn't a huge part of his character. Like, he was also other things. So I thought that was really interesting and really well done. I enjoyed their progression and connection with the 2 of them. I enjoyed the writing style. This is my first time I read Christina C. Jones. I'm definitely want to check out more of her in the future. And it was really steamy and a lot of fun. So there you have that one. Next, I ended up reading The Tenant by Katrina Jackson. This is also a Black author. And I rated this one 4.5 stars. I really, really liked her writing style. This is my first time I read Katrina Jackson as well. This is about Noel and Ruby, and it's a ghost romance, which I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. And it kind of got a little wild, but I still really liked it. This is about Noel, and he inherits a house. He inherits a house from his aunt, and he has no idea what this house is about. He has no idea. His aunt has never lived in this area. He's like, I don't know why I inherited this house from her. I don't even know what this means. And everyone kind of is like really interested in the house that he's living in, because it used to be a plantation house, because it used to be the house of the plantation owners. So it's very old school. It needs a lot of work. It needs to be, renovated and brought up to speed, and it's kind of a mess. And Ruby is the ghost who lives there. Ruby has been chilling there for a while, and Noel comes into the house, and she's like, I don't know about you. I just really like the progression and the writing, and how the ghost aspect of what happened I thought was really interesting. There was a lot of interesting themes brought up about racism and slavery, but not like in an overhanded way, just in a really like it was what happened and what that looked like and what kind of history that was involved there was really interesting. I really liked it. The ending was a little wild. All of a sudden you get a threesome scene going on. Won't go into why, I won't go into how. And I just wanted a little bit more from the ending, but otherwise I still really enjoyed this. And I didn't think I would. I thought it was kind of like, I really like this. And like I said, I really like the writing style. So I definitely want to also check more from Katrina Jackson. So it was interesting. It was a lot of fun. I ended up really enjoying it. So this I read was an ebook, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This was number 2 in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And I rated this one 4 stars. I included this for Hawathon because I used it for one of the prompts. Because literally when I started planning on starting Hawathon, one of the scavenger hunt crusts and one of the prompts, bingo prompts, fit what I was reading. So I was like, you know what, I'm already like over halfway through in this, but I'm going to count it for these prompts and this bingo board. So I was reading it for a buddy read for some friends of mine, and I'm so sorry. They read way faster than I did. I'm so sorry, Megan and Marianne, if you're watching. It took me a lot longer to read it, and I'll explain why. So this was about Feyre and Rhysand and Tamlin, who is Lord of the Spring Court. You got Rhysand, who's Lord of the Night Court. There's a found family trope. I don't want to give too much away because it is the second book in the series and it's hard to like sum up, but I did enjoy this one more than the first book. I think Feyre is much more of an interesting character. I think that there's better development, better writing in this book than I thought the first one had. I still think the world building is kind of weak, but I liked the characters enough that it didn't bother me as much in this book as it did in the first one. I also see why there's so much love for Rhysand. I think that he's a very interesting character. I don't think he's the best book for a boyfriend ever, though. Not for me, at least, but, you know, I think there's a lot of people who, like, stand him a little bit too much. It was a really slow read for me, though. It took me about a month. It was one of those books where I couldn't put it down, but because I couldn't put it down, I had to read it really slowly, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to finish it. It just was, and it was also very slow paced. There just wasn't a lot that happened. The first, like, 100, 200 pages, like, there was a lot going on, and then, like, the middle 400 pages was just really slow, and the last 100 pages was, like, a lot happened. So I wanted it to go faster, and it just wasn't, and that might have just been me, I don't know, but it was a really slow read to me, and so it took me a while to get through it. It took me about a month to read. I started in May, and I didn't finish it until June, so here we are. But I still ended up really, like, I still enjoyed it. I still rated it 4 stars, and I still thought it was interesting. I still liked Feyre and Rhysand, and Tamlin, well, Tamlin's another story. There was still something really interesting about it. I still ended up really enjoying it, more than I thought I would. On to book 3. We'll see. I'm going to try to finish it for July, and you can see my July DBR that I included that I'm reading the next one. So, cross fingers I'll get it done with before a month. Like within 2 weeks, maybe 3. That would be great. Next, I ended up reading an ebook. It was His Beauty by Jack Carbon. This is also a Black author, and it is 3 stars. So this was about Isla and the Beast. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This was more novella length, and it's basically it was a monster fucking romance. I haven't read a lot of those. I mean, I've read demon, aliens, which I don't really consider monsters. Like, they're different to me. So, but this was straight up. So imagine Beauty and the Beast retelling. Imagine the Beast stays the Beast, and this is basically what you get. This was basically the story that you got. It kind of read like Disney fanfic, I'm not gonna lie. Like besides the characters' names, it read very, very similar to the Beauty and the Beast Disney movie for the first half of the book, at least for me. And then he stays a beast. He never becomes human again. For undisclosed reasons. Why? I don't know why. So it was wild. But it was fun. It was cute, and I liked the writing style, so I would be willing to check out more Jack Carbon. But I wasn't wowed by it. I wasn't amazed by it. It was just kind of okay. I will say trigger warnings for attempted sexual assault and murder, and it was a little bit gory for me. There was a particular fight scene, very similar to Beauty and the Beast, which is like the townspeople coming to kill the beast. But there was different reasons for this one, and it was like just the descriptions of like the fight was very descriptive, and I was like, oh my goodness, a little unpleasant. Anyway, so just go into knowing that, but it was still cute and still steamy and interesting. So yeah, there we have it. That was my my read for that. That particular read inspired a reel that I posted about monster fucking. If you haven't seen my Instagram, it was that was a lot of fun. That reel was a lot of fun to make. Next, I have an audiobook, which is Rock Chick by Kristen Ashley. This is from her Rock Chick series, and this is about Indy and Lee, and it's kind of got a cozy mystery vibe. So I rated it 4 stars. Indy is considered a rock chick, and Lee is basically her childhood, I don't know if you call him childhood best friend, but they've known each other since childhood. Indy's best friend, Lee, is that girl's brother, Allie. Indy's best friend is Allie, and Allie's brother is Lee. So they've known each other since childhood. They grew up in Denver, but like it sounds like a small town. It read like a small town, but they're in like a big city, which was kind of confusing for me. I will say the romance wasn't great, but the audiobook was so well done. The narrator narrated it so well and narrated Indy so well that it just made it really enjoyable. I really, really liked the story. But I also, my book club read it, and it was a book club read, and some of my book club members did not like it, but the ones who read the audio ended up really liking it. And I think, like I said, the narrator really helped with that. So it also might not have aged well because it was written maybe about over 10 years ago, and I don't know, rock chick is not really a thing. I don't think that's an aesthetic anymore. Anyway, it just kind of read a little bit older to me, and it very read similar to Stephanie Plum, which is like Bajana Ivanovich, the cozy mystery vibe, at least. The plot's banana pants, but it's kind of hilarious. Tex is my new favorite character from this book series. I would read about Tex all the time, and as I mentioned, audio was extremely well done, so that's what made it enjoyable. I think I would have had a different experience if I read it in a different format. So the next book I ended up reading was Sweet Talk by Cara Bastone. This was an Audible original, which means this particular audio was only available on Audible on Amazon. The only reason I was able to access it is because I recently bought a membership with Audible. It was available for a 4-month deal for $7. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to kind of access the things that are on Audible that I can literally find nowhere else. I kind of hate that Amazon gets a monopoly on certain Audible titles, or certain book titles that only get Amazon Audible rights, so you can't find the audiobooks literally nowhere else. It's extremely frustrating. But the Audible originals aren't worth a credit. So I save a credit, and its Audible original is not worth a credit. Credits are for certain other ones. So I decided to listen to it. It was really short and sweet. It was only about 6 hours, and I listened on double speed, so it was about 3. It ended up being really cute. And I listened to the sample, which is why it made me click on it and want to read it. It is about Jess and Elliot, and there is a mistaken identity situation as well as a text situation. So Elliot is texting Jess, but he doesn't know and remember who Jess is. He didn't put her name in his phone because he has some learning disabilities and has a hard time being able to process information when he's entering people's contact information in, so he usually goes in and adds their names later after their interaction. In this case, because of the situation and who she is, he forgot, so he texted her accidentally, and they start having a texting conversation and start really developing some really great chemistry and end up really developing a really great relationship. And I love the narration on this. Narration was excellent, which is why I think I loved it so much because of that, and just the whole texting conversations between the two of them was just so cute. I really enjoyed it. Elliot is a dyslexic cinnamon roll, and Jess is this badass chick. She's like has piercings and tattoos and combat boots. I like that she was like the badass, like the bad girl, as opposed to the bad boy type of trope. So that was kind of really nice to see. I rated it 4.5 stars. I just really thought it was super cute. I will say the conflict was kind of dismissed really easily. I think it was actually kind of a big deal, and the main character kind of made it not a big deal and said it wasn't that big of a thing, and kind of got over it a little bit too easily for my taste. I wanted a little bit more angsty drama over it because it deserved it, because it was quite a serious issue. But I still really enjoyed it, and just the narration, and it was so enjoyable, and it was so cute, and it was so fun, and I really love the two of them. So yes, I really enjoyed it, but I just think that the conflict could have just been resolved a little bit better for me. And next I did my Pride and Prejudice retelling, so that's my Pride and Prejudice reading vlog. I will comment it up on the cards if you want to check that out. What I ended up listening to was, first I ended up listening for an audiobook. I ended up listening to Aisha at Last by Uzma, and this is about Aisha and Khalid. So this is Elizabeth Darcy Pride and Prejudice retelling. So this is a Muslim Pride and Prejudice retelling. And I really love the connection between Aisha and Khalid. I ended up rating it 4 stars, and I just really enjoyed it overall. One of the things I had the issues with was the pacing was a little bit off for me towards the second half of the book, as well as the author made a choice about perspectives. She had a close third perspective for Aisha and Khalid, but then she decided to make an omnipotent third perspective, where she added some scenes that were from different characters' perspective, and I just don't think they were written well. It just seemed very clunky and it almost was very jarring. And I think if it could have been done better, and that's why I kind of ended up having it 4 stars, if I really, really enjoyed it overall. Next, I ended up reading a physical book, Pride by E.B. Zobai. This is a Black author, and this is about Zuri and Darius. This is another Pride and Prejudice retelling. This is a young adult Pride and Prejudice retelling. So you have Zuri, who is Afro-Latina, and Darius moves across the street with his brother, and who is like the Bingley character. The two of them, they're antagonistic right from the get-go and don't like each other right from the get-go, and it just ended up being really, really great for a retelling. I really enjoyed this. It paralleled the Pride and Prejudice narrative really well, but it also brings up a lot of modern social commentary issues, such as gentrification, getting in touch also with classism, which is the classic, kind of also from the classic as well, but also as well as racism, and it just brought up some things that were different enough to make this new, which is what I love from a retelling, is when it's familiar enough to be comfortable and comforting and you recognize the story, but also be something entirely brand new and entirely different, and I love that for this. I also found the writing really beautiful and lyrical. Zuri does a lot of her own type of poetry, and that really lends well to the book itself as well. I just really, really enjoyed it. I ended up rating it 5 stars. It was excellent. If you love a Pride and Prejudice retelling, I strongly recommend it. Next, I ended up listening to an audiobook of Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur. This was about Darcy and Elle, and it's a very loose Pride and Prejudice retelling. I'm going to emphasize it's a very loose Pride and Prejudice retelling. And this was a sapphic queer romance. So you have Darcy and Elle. Darcy is obviously more of the grump character, and Elle is actually more of a sunshine character. So I really feel like it fits a grump and sunshine trope. It was cute and sweet, and also a little bit steamy. I thought it was kind of cute for that. I thought them coming together was really sweet. I thought they were still really great characters, especially Darcy, I think, was the strongest character out of the two of them. And it followed most of the Pride and Prejudice was very much in the beginning of the book, and then it kind of went away from that towards the rest of the narrative. But I still really enjoyed it, and I still thought it was really cute, and I liked it. I rated it 4 stars because I thought it was really solid. I will say, however, that I'm super excited about Darcy's brother who's in the book. He was my favorite character, and he gets his own book. He has his own book, which is Hanging the Moon, something about hanging the moon. And I'm really excited about that book, and that one I definitely want to read next. So that comes up my June reads. Again, as I mentioned, I ended up reading 17 books, which is really great. Some of these are novellas, but that's okay. I'm still pretty happy with how I did. So to sum up, I ended up reading 6 ebooks, 3 physical books, and 8 audiobooks. And for my ratings, I ended up doing 2 5 stars, 9 4 stars, which is pretty dang good, and 6 3 stars. I didn't have any 2 stars this month. I think that was a pretty good month. I ended up enjoying a lot of the things I read. I'm really excited to continue on in my reading journey, and we're halfway through the year, folks. That means I have more to read, and I have to, as of now, to sum up my reading so far, I've read 123 books. My goal was 250, so I am almost halfway there. It's pretty exciting times. If you got this far, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below what your favorite book you read for June was. I would love to know. If you like what you saw and want to see more bookish things from me, please subscribe and hit likes and bells. I would really appreciate it. As well as you can comment and follow me on all the things. I list all my social medias down below, and you can check those out. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you again soon. Bye!